Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your Evelyn Shorty, and yes, we're not doing this live. Still, YouTube isn't working for me, but TikTok seems to be okay, so I'm recording and we'll go. We are going to be reviewing Flawed, which was actually one that came out last week, but I totally missed a boat on that one. I didn't quite spot who the creative team was, if I'm completely honest, and the people who've done stuff like Bitterroot and On the Stump, both of which were very well received, particularly Bitterroot. I read On the Stump and it was okay, but it didn't particularly work for me as something I wanted to go back and keep reading. And when I saw this one, I honestly didn't make the connection. I'm glad I have done now, and I'm really glad I picked this up because it's a really interesting comic book. It doesn't feel like it's as overt in its dealing with racial and social issues like the other two were, but it feels like it's a thoroughly well-rounded idea for a comic book. It looks fantastic, and I think it's got the seeds there to tell the same kind of story, or at least tell the story in a very effective way, which I'm really looking forward to. We're going to talk about artwork first, though, because there is an awful lot of ultra violence in this stuff, and something like this in this comic book, all of which is done with brutal glee. You can't really deny it. The violence is so horrific that it is actually more horror than it is just like action violence. There's some really nice page layouts where it has frame within frame of a big splash page with action moving throughout to kind of signify just the speed of which stuff's going on, the frenetic nature of the violence, to kind of put it as like an almost superhero level of violence. Like, this is happening at a speed beyond what you'd expect for a normal fight. But the detail and the brutality is softened ever so slightly by a less than realistic take on a lot of the characters, including the background characters. They're almost done comically. There's no real, not full effort going into photorealism on this one. You can just enjoy the fact that these are comic characters being mauled and having knives thrust through their faces and chins blown off and all manner of fun things like that. But the art is better than just that, which is the big thing, because there's an excellent establishing shot, double page spread here. And it's one of the kind of things which I love, like a nice fixed point perspective, landscape or cityscape, but it isn't 100% what I'd look for. It's less accurate in terms of where its perspective goes. And it took me a while to realise this is intentional. It's not like this is just somebody failing to figure out a point of focus. It's in a position where we're not expecting, it's not where our eye is drawn to, because there is a bird flying above, and it feels like where the bird is looking at the ground, that's the point of focus. Add that to the fact that some of the buildings seem genuinely non-Euclidean in terms of the way they're laid out, means this is designed to be off-putting and unusual, and the entire city is. The way the city is drawn feeds into the idea that this is a broken city, that it is not what you expect it to be. It is corrupted. And that's a clear choice that they've gone for, and it does a very good job of showing it. Not just that, but like the character design for the main bad guy, when you do see him, he is over the top corrupted and evil. Not just the way he's written in terms of the dialogue and his actions, which are full on over the top comic book bad guy, but the way he's drawn is unusual. Excuse me. He is a super villain from a comic book. He has hints of Bane to him, in fact. And his plan is ridiculous and over the top. But again, it fits in with the theme of what they're trying to do. The only kind of vaguely, I want to say, like, not a huge negative thing for me, but something which has struck me as unusual, is there is kind of like a twist in what's going on for this comic book, because it starts with somebody who's a therapist finding out that talking to one of their clients whose daughter was murdered by a serial killer, and then we very quickly find out the therapist is also a superhero or a vigilante who goes out and deals with it in extremely violent ways. But they put in a lot of threads very early on for what's going to be like the twist in the tale, like the story going in a slightly different direction you expect it's going to. And I think this is really good, but I don't know, part of me expected those kind of reveals to be at the end of an issue, so you've got a bit more time to build up some characterization, a little bit more time even for world building maybe, and just dropping straight into here is a twist, here is where the story is going. It comes across as ever so slightly too quick. Like, I like a combat sequence where it's rushed and frenetic and dynamic and there's a lot of moving parts going on. But in terms of story, I think there is something to be said for a bit more of a slow build-up. Maybe it's because we have an awful lot to do. Maybe these 6 issues, every single one is going to be action-packed, in which case, absolutely fine. It is going to keep it in keep it fitting with the rest of the book, and that to be applauded. But for first issue, I was expecting a little bit more time to be taken. But the fact that it does get through it quickly shows a really good economy of writing. There is nothing wasted that happens in this. All dialogue is for a purpose. All scenes, all bits of paneling, all work towards what they're doing. Like, this creation is all intentional towards a fast narrative, and I'm really hoping they're going to maintain that for 6 issues. I'm kind of glad it is only going to be 6 issues, because I think that kind of pacing could end up petering out or rushing over important points later on. We'll have to wait and see how it goes, but I am certainly very positive, and I'm hoping it's going to be fantastic. That's it for today. There's not really much else new out this week that I've got spare copies of to read and review, so we might not get too much, and also YouTube is being a pain at the moment, but we will get stuff sorted out, and for TikTok I'm always going to be there. Until I see you again, though, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!